I've been working at this company for 5 years, always giving it my all. I've led major projects, mentored new hires, and consistently received glowing performance reviews. My boss, Mr. Henderson, even hinted that the next big promotion to department head was mine for the taking. I was excited, ready for the next step in my career. Then everything changed when a new HR manager, a woman named Karen, joined the company. Karen was in her late 20s, ambitious, and seemed to have a very specific vision for the company's future. A vision that apparently didn't include experienced employees like me. She started implementing new policies focused on revitalizing the workforce and bringing in fresh perspectives. It all sounded great on paper, but in reality it felt like a thinly veiled excuse to push out older staff. Suddenly, my years of experience were being framed as being stuck in old ways. The department head position finally opened up. I applied, confident that my track record spoke for itself. Mr. Henderson was supportive, but Karen was on the hiring committee. The interview process was strange. Instead of focusing on my achievements and leadership skills, Karen kept asking questions about my adaptability to new technologies and my long-term career goals, with a weird emphasis on long-term. It felt less like an interview and more like an interrogation designed to find a reason to say no. A week later, the announcement came. The promotion went to a guy named Mark. Mark was a nice enough person, but he had only been with the company for a year and had a fraction of my experience. His main qualification seemed to be that he was also in his late 20s, just like Karen. I was devastated and angry. It was blatant age discrimination, but how could I prove it? Feeling defeated, I went to talk to Mr. Henderson. He looked genuinely apologetic. He admitted that my qualifications were superior, but Karen had argued forcefully for Mark, citing his potential for long-term growth and his alignment with the company's new dynamic direction. He said his hands were tied, as the final decision had to be unanimous, and Karen wouldn't budge. He suggested I just keep my head down and wait for another opportunity. But I knew there wouldn't be another one. I could see the writing on the wall. Over the next few weeks, I watched as other senior colleagues were either sidelined or pushed into early retirement. Morale plummeted. The office, once a collaborative and supportive environment, became tense and divided. The fresh perspectives Karen was so proud of were making costly mistakes that experienced employees could have easily avoided. The whole place was becoming a mess. One afternoon, I was venting my frustrations over lunch with a few colleagues, including a quiet but brilliant junior analyst named Chloe. Chloe had joined our team about 6 months ago. She was smart, hard-working, and always eager to learn. I'd taken her under my wing, sharing my knowledge and helping her navigate her first big corporate job. We had developed a nice friendship. As I recounted the story of my missed promotion, Chloe listened intently, her expression growing more and more concerned. After lunch, Chloe asked if we could talk privately. We found an empty conference room, and she closed the door. She looked me in the eye and said, "What Karen is doing is wrong, and I think I can help." I was confused. What could a junior analyst possibly do? Then she dropped the bombshell. "My full name is Chloe Henderson. Mr. Henderson, our CEO, is my uncle." My jaw must have hit the floor. She explained that she had wanted to earn her place in the company without any special treatment, so she had kept her family connection a secret from everyone, even her uncle. She had been observing the office culture, and what she saw happening under Karen's new HR regime deeply disturbed her. She said my story was the final straw. She couldn't stand by and watch good, dedicated people get treated so unfairly. Chloe had a plan. She knew her uncle valued data and concrete evidence above all else. So we started gathering it. Chloe used her analytical skills to dig into the company's recent hiring, promotion, and departure data. The patterns were undeniable. Over the past year, since Karen's arrival, the average age of employees had dropped significantly. Promotions overwhelmingly went to employees under 30, regardless of their performance metrics compared to older candidates. Meanwhile, a disproportionate number of employees over 40 had left the company. While Chloe handled the data, I started documenting everything. I wrote down detailed accounts of my interview with Karen, her biased questions, and specific instances where my experience was dismissed. I also spoke discreetly with other senior colleagues who had similar experiences. With their permission, I compiled their stories into anonymized case studies. We built a powerful dossier, a mountain of evidence that was impossible to ignore. The day of reckoning arrived. Chloe scheduled a meeting with her uncle, the CEO. She asked me to come with her. We walked into his office, and I could see the surprise on his face when he saw me. Chloe started by revealing her identity and her reasons for keeping it a secret. Then she laid out our case. She presented the data charts, the graphs, the trend lines, all pointing to a systematic purge of older employees. Then it was my turn. I shared my personal story and the stories of my colleagues. I spoke not with anger, but with a deep sense of disappointment in a company I had dedicated so much of my life to. I explained how the loss of institutional knowledge was hurting productivity and how the toxic environment was destroying morale. As I spoke, I could see Mr. Henderson's expression shift from surprise to concern and then to outright anger. He had been so focused on the big picture that he hadn't seen the poison spreading within his own company. Mr. Henderson thanked us for bringing this to his attention. He was furious, not at us, but at himself for letting this happen under his nose. He promised to take immediate action. And he did. The very next day, an emergency, all-hands meeting was called. Karen was also there, looking smug, probably thinking it was about some new, dynamic initiative of hers. The CEO stood before the entire company and gave a powerful speech. He talked about the core values of the company: respect, integrity, and valuing experience. Then, without naming names initially, he spoke about a disturbing trend that had been brought to his attention, a trend that went against everything the company stood for. He presented a simplified version of Chloe's data, showing the undeniable bias in recent HR decisions. The room went silent. You could feel the tension as everyone started connecting the dots. Then he looked directly at Karen. He announced that the company was launching a full-scale, third-party investigation into the HR department's practices. He also announced that Karen was being placed on immediate administrative leave pending the results of that investigation. The look of shock and horror on Karen's face was something I will never forget. As she was escorted out of the building, a quiet, spontaneous round of applause erupted in the room. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated justice. In the weeks that followed, the investigation confirmed everything we had presented. Karen was officially fired. Mr. Henderson personally apologized to me and offered me the department head position, effective immediately. He also created a new senior advisory role for another experienced colleague who had been pushed out, bringing him back from an unwanted early retirement. Chloe became the office hero. Her secret was out, but she had earned everyone's respect, not because of who her uncle was, but because of what she did. She proved that integrity isn't about age, it's about character. As for me, I took the promotion. My first act as department head was to implement a new mentorship program, pairing our most experienced staff with our newest hires, ensuring that knowledge and wisdom would be passed down for years to come. The office slowly began to heal, and the culture of respect we once had was finally on its way back. It was a tough fight, but we proved that in the end, experience, loyalty, and doing the right thing will always win. Thanks for watching our story today. If you've ever faced a challenge at work, know that you're not alone, and that standing up for what's right can make all the difference. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories. See you next time.